Ladies and gentlemen, this is GhostX and welcome back to another video. So today I want to share 10 simple tips that can genuinely help you improve your stats in Battlefield 6 and get a higher KD. This isn't about sweating every match or treating every game like it's a tournament. It's about playing smarter, making better decisions, and understanding how Battlefield actually works. These are things that I've picked up myself through experience and also by watching other players how to approach the game. If you follow these tips, I guarantee your stats will start improving almost instantly. And if you find this video helpful, smash that like button and subscribe for more content. Your support for our junior channel is greatly appreciated. Without further ado, let's get started. Tip number one is things to do before you start playing. So before you jump into a match, take a minute, pick your gun that you're going to run, hop into the shooting range and just warm up real quick, like a few minutes. Just feel the recoil of the gun that you want to test or you want to take, and also test the damage of it and see if something feels off. Change the attachments depending on the mode that you're about to play. I mean, the attachments will be different between close quarters mode and conquest or breakthrough. And also set up your class too. Take a minute to set up your class. Make sure that you've got the right specialist path and gadgets that actually will help. Because let's be honest, there's a lot of useless gadgets out there. So choose the gadgets before you jump in the game. And while you're doing all of that, just double check your settings as well, like sensitivity, aim assist, FOV. Make sure everything feels right for you. These things might need a little bit of tweak, especially after patches or updates. And if you find yourself, having a hard time really tuning in and finding the right spot, it's totally fine to look up, updated settings from other players on social media. And also one more thing, stick with one gun for a few matches or even the whole session. I wouldn't switch between multiple guns throughout the same match. That way your muscle memory stays kind of locked in, and try to play maps that you're comfortable with. This is especially true if you want to increase your KD. But if you don't care about the KD and you just want to improve your gameplay in general, then it wouldn't matter what maps you choose. These tips basically apply to all maps. And tips number two is slow it down and play relaxed. So I think the best way to go for playing this game is actually to have it, in a relaxed pace. This isn't Call of Duty, this is Battlefield. We might have the tendency kind of to rush doing things once the match starts, and I think we all been there, especially on conquest modes, and that's totally fine. But once you settle, I would slow down a little bit and play relaxed in most situations. Also at the beginning of the match, I'd take a few minutes to kind of watch things. I want to see how the other team is playing. Are they super aggressive? Are there a bunch of snipers sitting on the edges of the map, not even touching the objectives? Once you start picking up on that, don't force fights. I wouldn't push into situations where I'm clearly at a disadvantage or where someone already has better positioning than me. If a fight feels too aggressive, I just don't take it sometimes. There is no reason to rush decisions and give away free deaths, Survival matters here. If I need to back up, out of fight, I would back out, and I would avoid re-challenging. Yeah, we've all done it, someone kills you and you rush straight back at them and you die again. It's fine once in a while, but don't make it a habit, because if you're actually trying to improve your stat, I would avoid this. One golden rule to take advantage and keep that KD of yours is not to give up quickly after you go down. And instead, I would keep asking for revive and wait for your team medics. Even if no one is around, just wait the designated 15 seconds to bleed out. Because guess what? If you get revive, it won't be considered death. And I know it's obvious, but some people may not even know it. Tip number three is crossplay. So if you're playing on console, take advantage of turning crossplay off. It just helps you avoid some of those situations that feel a little unfair when you're going against PC players. Now the downside, you might wait a bit longer to find a match, or sometimes you're loaded into a server that mostly bots, and when that happens to me, I usually just back out and try to find another match with more real players. But honestly, it's all preference. Some people don't mind it, some do. Just use whatever feels better for you. But crossplay, I would take advantage of it, so you would compete with people on a similar platform like yours. Tip number four is play the objective and play as a team. This one isn't about boosting your KD, it's about improving your overall gameplay. And a big part of that is actually playing the objective. Whether you're in a conquest, escalation, breakthrough, whatever the mode is, help your team. Be a team player. Your score matters just as much as your KD, if not more. And a big part of that is choosing the right class for the map and the role you want to play, and then picking up the gun that actually makes sense for that class. SMGs usually works better for engineer, LMGs for support, and so on. If you're running medic, keep an eye high on your KD, but also revive teammates and drop whenever you can. It makes the whole match smoother for everyone. And don't be afraid to switch classes mid-match. I mean, if your team is stuck and can't push an objective, swap to Assault, flank behind enemy lines, and drop spawn beacon. If enemy vehicles are holding your team back, switch to Engineer and deal with those staying. Adapting like that makes a huge difference, both for your stats and for winning games. I know sometimes you play with a team that don't want to do anything, but if you take the lead and show some teamwork, they might come around. It never hurts to play with the team. Lone wolfing is not how Battlefield is played. Now, moving on to our fifth tip, which is aiming, sprinting, and movement. This one is pretty sensitive and a crucial one, to be honest with you. I could talk about so many things here, but I'm just gonna make it brief for the sake of the video and highlight the most important ones. Always make sure the required ADS speed matches the gun you're using and the role you're playing. For example, I wouldn't run close quarters fight with a gun that has a slow ADS. If that's the case, I either change the attachments or I just pick a different weapon. Also, always be aiming where enemies are most likely to show up instead of reacting late after they're already shooting you. I'm talking about corners, behind covers, entering a building, exiting a building, dismantling vehicles after seeing a teammate get shot. All of those scenarios, expect an enemy around that area. So keep your aiming agile, so to say, kind of to avoid surprises. This actually will help a lot, and you would be surprised how much one-to-one fights you start winning by doing so. Another one is when you're sprinting between points, switch to your knife or defib or the repair tool for the engineer to move a bit faster. Trust me, that would help a lot for you to avoid a lot of crossfire. Small things like this will add up. And anytime I'm entering a room, for example, where I suspect enemies might be inside, I slide in. While sliding, I quickly check at least one corner before committing. If you feel like you can't do these things fast enough to keep up, that's usually a sign that your sensitivity might be a little too low and you might want to bump it up slightly. Tip number 6 is use cover the right way. So I would use covers all the time, and I don't mean just deployable covers from the support class. Use walls, buildings, damaged vehicles, rubble, anything solid that actually stops bullets, and avoid fake cover like plants or trees or cardboard looking objects, because you will get shot straight through those. That said, don't sit behind the same piece of cover for too long. If you're spotted, especially by vehicles, you can get blown up almost instantly. For me, I like to use cover to take a fight, then move to the next piece of cover right away. Peek, shoot, reposition. Good cover usage alone will save you a lot of deaths and boost your KD without you even realizing it. Tip number 7 is flanks. So guys, flanking isn't just running around the map, hoping no one sees you. Good flanks are about timing, positioning, and reading the flow of the fight. You want to create pressure from unexpected directions so you catch enemies off guard rather than just, running around randomly. You know what I mean? And for flanking, I have a few tips that I wanted to share with you here. Or I should say, these are the things that I keep in mind when I flank. Watch the minimap and enemy behavior first. If the enemy heavily focused on one side of the objective, that's your chance to swing wide and hit them from behind or the side. Also, don't overcommit to a flank that is too open or kind of predictable. A good flank catches the enemy by surprise. So if you run into open ground with no cover, you're just bait. Use routes that aren't obvious, like side corridors, like terrain elevation changes, and spawn flanks can also help get you a position where the enemy isn't even looking. And also coordinate with your team when possible. If someone adjusts fire or pushes up on the main front, this distraction makes your flying much easier. Sitting alone trying to sneak around doesn't always work. Another one is pick your moment. A flank before or during an engagement where the enemy is committed forward is way stronger than trying to sneak around when they're already settled and set up facing your squad. You know what I mean? So these are just a few of the tips that I would keep in mind when flanking. There's a lot to talk about here, but we can do that in another video in the near future. Now, moving up to tip number 8 is close quarters modes boost KD fast. This is actually a golden tip for improving your KD fast, and honestly, it works fast. You can easily go from 1 KD to a 2 KD in a few days if you play a good number of sessions per day. The idea is simple. Stick to close quarters modes like team deathmatch, squad deathmatch, domination, or king of the hill. These modes give you way more one-on-one gunfights, which means more controlled engagements and fewer random deaths. You will improve gradually without even realizing it. And if you're on a console, turning cross-play off helps even more for close quarters play. From my experience, this alone can increase your KD significantly. Tip number 9 is control your fire and don't just spray. This is something a lot of people overlook. You don't always need need to hold the trigger down and spray, especially at mid to longer ranges. That's how you lose gunfights you should have won. Try to control your fire a bit more, short burst, reset your aim, and shoot again. You'll notice your shots landing way more consistently. Once you get used to how your gun kicks, you'll naturally start compensating for the recoil without even thinking about it. And cleaner shots equal faster kills, and that directly helps your KD. Tip number 10 and the final one is use positioning and high ground whenever possible. So positioning matters more than people think. If you can get higher ground, even small things like stairs, a ledge, or like a slight elevation, you already have an advantage. You see enemies first, they have to look up at you, and you usually get the first shots off. I'm always thinking about where I'm standing before I take a fight. So like if I'm out in the open or stuck low with no cover, I'll reposition. Winning fights in Battlefield isn't always about aim. It's about putting yourself in spots where the fight is already tilted in your favor. So these are the top 10 tips to improve your performance, your KD, and gameplay, and we'll wrap it up here for this video. Hopefully these tips will help you play better, stay alive longer, and see a real improvement in your stats in Battlefield 6. Of course, there are much more tips and advices that I could talk about, but I will leave these to another video coming up soon titled like pro tips for winning more fights in Battlefield 6. Since I'm still working on it, I welcome anything you guys want to share to be included in the upcoming video. And if you got any value from this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more Battlefield 6 guides, and let me know in the comments which tip helped you the most, or if there is anything that I missed. And as always, thanks for the support, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.